We will fight for quality jobs. You sometimes hear politicians say jobs, jobs, jobs. But what kind of jobs do they want? Zero-hour contract jobs? Full self-employment jobs? Uber jobs? We say no. Our citizens need and deserve quality jobs. Quality jobs.
You just heard from Nicolas Schmit, the lead candidate of the Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament, commonly known as the SD. Essentially, if the SD secures a victory in the European elections, Schmit is likely to become the next president of the European Commission. But you've never heard of the SD, you say? No worries, we have got you covered. The SD is actually one of the most dominant forces in European politics, comprising of members of the European Parliament from across the entire continent. The way it works is that national parties from various corners of the EU join forces with other parties that share similar political ideologies. For example, if you cast a vote for the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party in Spain, the Social Democratic Party in Germany, or the Democratic Party in Italy, you're kind of voting for the SD's master plan for Europe. In fact, there are more than 33 parties that make up the SD group. So look for your country on the screen to see for which party you could vote for if you like what you're about to hear about the SD in this video. European politics is complex though. And here's an example. The parties you see on the screen are actually members of the Party of European Socialists, also called PES. These European Socialists, together with some unaffiliated parties and independent members, make up the SD group in the European Parliament. Given that the Party of European Socialists is the most influential faction within the SD, we will concentrate on the European Socialists and their manifesto for the upcoming 2024 EU elections. So enough of the structural talk. What do the SD want for the future of Europe? To answer this, we're focusing on 6 key areas. Starting with defense, as it's a biggie, considering everything that's going on in the world.
The war in Ukraine ends the moment that President Putin decides to withdraw his troops. However, we will only take that decision if he realizes that he can't make any gains on the battlefield, that he can't dictate an unjust peace. Therefore, our ongoing support for Ukraine is key to restoring peace in Europe.
The SD wants a European common security and defense policy that complements NATO and wants EU countries to buy defense products together. They want the EU to collaborate in cybersecurity and intelligence and protect our critical infrastructure. They also want to resolve standing conflicts worldwide, such as those in Cyprus and Israel. For instance, they support an international peace conference aimed at creating a two-state solution between the Israelis and Palestinians. However, it was noticeable that defense was mentioned last in the manifesto, and with less detail than some political rivals, particularly regarding military integration. Next up is one of the hottest topics in Europe, migration. The SD views migration as a crucial part of European history and society, emphasizing that when well managed, migrants significantly enhance the economic and cultural life of our countries. The SD aims to strengthen EU borders, combat smugglers, and ensure the safety and rights of individuals, providing humane reception conditions, protecting children, ensuring legal support, and upholding fair and respectful migration procedures. Additionally, they support forming partnerships with countries of origin and transit, but oppose outsourcing migration procedures to third countries. They also firmly oppose the criminalization of humanitarian assistance and advocate for a European mission dedicated to search and rescue operations in the Mediterranean Sea. Next up is another hotly debated topic in Europe: climate change and energy.
We will implement a green social deal for a just transition, because for us, social justice and climate justice go hand in hand, because it means energy affordability and independence, because it means a strong and competitive clean tech industry based in Europe, because it leads to the creation of quality jobs. Climate neutrality has to be a force for social and economic progress.
The SD is focused on achieving climate neutrality by 2050 through continued investment in renewable energy. They are also committed to combating plastic and chemical pollution. Their manifesto emphasizes that sustainability and farmer livelihoods can coexist. They want to provide farmers with financial and technical support to use eco-friendly methods and reduce pesticide use and protect biodiversity. Additionally, the SD wants to ensure a reliable energy supply for the vulnerable and to stabilize energy prices, modernize infrastructure, and enhance Europe's strategic autonomy. However, the manifesto lacks detailed information on the specific energy mix planned for these initiatives. Next up is economy.
We will not allow that Europe will take the path of austerity and social regression, as it did during the financial crisis.
The SD wants a made-in-Europe strategy with a permanent EU investment capacity and an ambitious European budget. This includes an investment plan for the green and digital transitions to create new jobs and to reindustrialize the EU economy. They support a fair single market that enhances the global competitiveness of European industries and aims to bolster Europe's self-reliance in energy, raw materials, and technology, though specified implementation details are not provided. They also want to protect workers from crises and regulate the financial markets to combat speculation. Ultimately, the SD prioritizes social rights over economic interests to continue to strengthen the social dimension of the European Union. So what about social issues? Well, this is where the SD really shines, with a robust list of proposals. Their top priority is securing quality jobs for all. They aim to combat in-work poverty and exploitation, regulate AI, achieve zero deaths at work, and reduce working time. Additionally, they are strong proponents of trade unions and actively encourage collective bargaining and social dialogue. When it comes to housing, the SD plans to implement a European plan for affordable housing and wants an EU strategy on combating homelessness. In the health sector, the SD is committed to defending public healthcare that creates quality jobs. They propose a European health union to manage cross-border pandemic responses and support national public health systems. Additionally, they advocate for a strong European mental health strategy and plan to implement fair and transparent medicine pricing. To help finance these initiatives, because let's face it, they are many, the SD wants what they call a fair tax system, where large corporations, big polluters, and the ultra-rich are expected to pay more. They also want to fight against tax fraud and tax havens inside and outside of the EU. The SD also identifies as a feminist party, advocating for women's control over their own bodies, closing the gender pay gap, and increasing women's employment. They also seek LGBTIQ equality. And there's a lot more. In the manifesto, there's a whole section on creating a Europe that works for young people. What particularly stood out is free quality education and training and housing through an EU plan against the student housing crisis. Now finally, what about EU reform and enlargement? Well, the SD wants treaty change and EU enlargement. They want to empower the European Parliament and the European Commission with tools to safeguard our democracy, strengthen our economy, and protect our environment and our social model. Again, the details are slightly unclear of what exactly they want to do. What is interesting, though, is that they want to remove the country veto vote on specific tax matters, but don't mention anything about foreign policy. The SD supports EU enlargement, beginning with the Western Balkans, alongside necessary reforms. They welcome EU membership talks with Ukraine, Moldova, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, and back Georgia's European aspirations. However, they do express regret over Turkey's stalled accession, acknowledging that it cannot proceed under the current conditions.
We live in a world of 8, soon 10 billion people. Economies in Asia, Latin America, and Africa are rising. These continents demand more political influence, and they have every right to do so. In order to maintain our impact, in order to be heard in this changing world, Europeans must act together.
And that's an overview of the SD's plans. Craving more detail? Then dive into their manifesto linked below for the full rundown. Nonetheless, this should give you a really good overview to start with. If you're new to the EU political scene, make sure to watch the video here for an overview of the upcoming EU elections. And if you want to learn more about other European political groups, then check out the video here for a rundown of one of SND's main competitors. If you like the content and want to see more EU political parties explained, please subscribe and like the video. Plus, if you're passionate about helping us spread knowledge on the EU, please think about joining our Patreon community. Until next time.